Hello loves and welcome to today's video. Today I am going to be doing the Jan-uary tag created by Jan-uary on YouTube. I will link her original video in the description. This is a list of questions that helps you reflect on your previous year's reading as well as set some goals for the new year. So let's get started. The first question is, what was the first book that you read in the previous year? So in 2024, the first book I read was Mystery of the Whale Tattoo. This is a Hardy Boys novel. It is about, I think, like a stuffed whale goes missing while being transported to a museum or something, and they investigate this like group of circus people who have whale tattoos. I'm impressed I even remembered that much considering it was a year ago. I picked this up at a used bookstore and read it because I do have a whale tattoo. So I wanted to know what the mystery was. The mystery is that a whale was stolen, I guess. Not necessarily the 5-star best way to start my year, but it was an easy book I could read in like a single day, a single sitting, because it is for children. So that was the first book that I read in 2024. The last book that I read in 2024, if you watch my reading vlog, you know it was Cat Plus Gamer Volume 6, which is a manga series about a woman who, she like turns 30 in that issue. So a 30-year-old woman, 29 in most of the volumes, who is very much into gaming. She has like no social life. All she does is go to work and then go home and game. One day she adopts a kitten and she has to learn how to take care of this kitten, and she couches it through terms of leveling up like in a video game. So it's very cutesy because it's about, you know, growing up with a kitten and a cat while also having like some gaming references. I found it really relatable. I don't have a cat, but I do play video games and am in that demographic. Really like it. It's not anything too serious. It was something fun to end my year since I was really crushing it in that last 4 days to try and get my reading goal done. And that one coincidentally also involved a new year, so it ended up being a great one to finish off my year. Next question is, what is your first read of 2025? So that is going to be I Do Not Apologize for My Position on Men by Ray Wilde. This is a short story collection of different queer and feminist kind of stories about women interacting with monsters or monstrous entities. This had some really strong ones that I really enjoyed. The one where a woman is sacrificed to Queen Kong, that one was fun. But then some of them, particularly towards the end, there's like a choose your own adventure where you're stuck on a boat, and also these like two lesbians throughout history. Those ones got really bogged down for me. So overall, I did give it a 3.25, and it was kind of setting a vibe for the year as well as something short I could get read. Next question is, what are your goals for 2025? I did some thinking and reflecting on how my reading went throughout 2024. So I did decide to lower my reading goal. If you watched my end of year reading vlog, I had to read 14 books in like 4 days to be able to finish my reading goal. And obviously that means I read a lot of short books and some manga. I don't want to have to do that again this year. I also want to read longer books. So I set my goal at 240. That is about 20 a month, which I think is reasonable because even in my like slowest months, I still usually can get around 19. So that was kind of more realistic to letting myself pace myself a bit. And currently on Storygraph, my overall average for the number of pages per book is below 300. I think I averaged 288 pages per book last year, and I really want to get that over 300. Reading short books is good when you're going for volume. I end up with a TBR stacked with 600-page books because I'm so intimidated to pick them up that it'll set me behind on my goal. I want to tackle some of those long books. Hopefully I can get my average for the year over 300 pages. Obviously I will still be listening to audiobooks, so not everything I read will be a book over 300 pages, but that's what we're going for. And the last goal is to finish this series, which is the 6 Tudor Queens series. It is 6 books, each one about one of the wives of Henry VIII. I picked them up because I was obsessed with 6. This series has obviously 6 books in it. I've read 2 of them. They are long, so this will help me with my goal and get one of the series off of my TBR, especially because these are books that I do own physically, so it would be nice to get those off my unread shelf. Next is your 3 most anticipated reads for 2025. The first one is Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen, because first of all, the cover, let's take a moment, stunning. Second, I read My Darling Dreadful Thing, which was Joanna Van Veen's debut last year, and while it didn't make it into my top 3, it was 4th. It really caught me off guard because I was going into expecting to enjoy it, but I didn't expect it to be a 5-star, and it just blew me away considering it was gothic horror, which is usually something I don't connect to as much. So I really excited for Blood on Her Tongue because I just really connect with Joanna Van Veen's work. My second anticipated read is A Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. I know nothing about this, but Bury Your Gaze was my 3rd best book last year, so Chuck Tingle, a horror book, I'm gonna want to read it. I'm very highly anticipating it. And the third one is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, which actually comes out in like a week from now. Grady Hendrix is one of the authors that really got me into reading horror. I read, I think, Horror Store first, and then Southern Book Club's Guide. Just really like his style of writing, the kind of horror parody, comedy horror style, so I'm really looking forward to that one, and I have heard from people who have ARCs that it is pretty good, so I am looking forward to that, and those are my top 3 just based on authors I've enjoyed in the past. Next question is about my 2024 goals, so which ones did I reach and not reach? So I did hit my book goal. It was a stretch. We had to hustle there at the end, but I did hit 300 books. I did hit 36,500 pages, so 100 a day. I did hit 1,000 hours of audiobooks. So we did all of those goals that were the actual concrete statistical ones. Now, as to the goals that were more about substance, I did not keep my physical TBR at 50 books. I blame Brandon Sanderson and I blame Alfred Hitchcock because I read Trust in the Emerald Sea and needed everything Brandon Sanderson immediately. And then I also read the 12 Stories Not for the Nervous and needed to read all of that collection. I also have some friends who are enabling where it's like, hey, we're by the bookstore, do you want to go? And I'm like, of course I want to go. I haven't done a count. I probably need to do an updated what's on my TBR shelf video, but we did not keep that at 50 books. I take responsibility for that. We'll try and do better this year, especially with that goal of reading longer things. A lot of the stuff on my TBR shelf is longer, and that's why it's there, because I buy it because I don't want to have a time limit on getting it from the library and having to read in 21 days and stressing out about that, but then I have other things that come in from the library that I'm stressed about and have to get read in 21 days, and those sit on the shelf because there's no time limit on them. Something we're gonna have to work on. We're also, in my video from last year, a few series that I wanted to complete. I think I mentioned the Franny Fisher mystery series. I didn't finish it, but I did decide to DNF it. I was not enjoying it, so I didn't finish that one because I didn't want to. I'm gonna take that as a success. I did finish the Charlene Harris Sookie Stackhouse books. Yay for me. It took me longer than I thought it was going to, but I did finish those. I did not finish the 6 2-Year Queen series, which is why it's here again. Then I also mentioned, like, as a stretch goal, I don't think it's realistic, but Discworld, and I did DNF Discworld too. So while I didn't finish the series, I did finish them for me. And then the last goal that I mentioned in last year's video was to prioritize older books on my TBR, anything that was added to my TBR in 2022. Considering I read over 30 books that were 2024 releases, so like over 10% of what I read last year was a 2024 release, I didn't do that. Hopefully with the focus on longer books, I can do that this year. I'm not really as worried about that one. It was a nice idea at the time, but I'm honestly trying to be a bit more of a mood reader because I find that if I am going strictly by order of things being added to my TBR, one, I get way behind on new releases, and two, I end up reading like multiple of the same genre back to back because I happen to have been going through the sci-fi recommendations and added like 20 sci-fi in a row, and then I get like burnt out on that genre. I think it was a noble decision at the time to want to do that, but I don't think it's going to work for me based on how my personal reading style has developed. Next question, what is a new release you have zero interest in? It's the same one from last year because I thought Onyx Storm came out in 2024. It's not. It comes out this month. I will not be reading it. I will, however, listen to the girls in my book club talk about it. You know, I'm happy other people are happy with it. Next is, what bookish habits do you want to develop? So again, I want to read longer books. And I also want to rush less. I've been finding that if I'm reading a book for longer than 4 days, I get impatient. I feel like I'm falling behind because I haven't finished a book within 3 days. So the habit I want to develop is to rush less and actually take my time with books to enjoy them. And then I think also I need to get better with DNFing series. I have a tendency to read a book in a series, and even if the first one was like a 2.5 or a 3, I'm like, okay, now I have to read this whole series because I read the one book from it, even though I didn't really like that first book. I need to get better with being like, no, this series is not going to get so much better in the 4th, 5th, 6th book that justifies me reading the other 4 that came before this. So I need to get better with that as well, and that's a habit I'm hoping to develop, is acknowledging when series aren't working for me a bit sooner. Next is, what adaptions are you excited for? I looked through a couple articles and lists of adaptions that were being released in 2025. There's none that I'm like, oh my gosh, I will be pre-ordering my ticket. I will be first in my seat. I will sit front row so I receive it first, like the pretentious French New Wave people. Nothing like that. I think I mentioned last year the Murderbot series. I don't think that's come out yet, so I guess still that. Technically a 2024 release, but Night Bitch came out in the US last year, but did not get a theatrical release in Canada. I think it's gonna be on like Disney Plus or something, so I'm waiting for that to have a Canadian release. And I guess Wicked Part 2, that's tangentially a book. Not really aware of any that are coming out soon. I think Project Hail Mary is like a 2026 release, so watch out for that one on next year's list. Next question is, what is your favorite bookish memory from 2024? One would be any of my in-person book clubs where there's a specific member who just tells us the random unhinged KU smut that they read. It's become a segment at book club. So any of the times that has happened, it's always so much fun to hear about. My book club also did a like special event where we read Twilight and then watched it together. So that was a lot of fun. And then also any of the times I have gone shopping with friends and been like, hey, I love this book, you should buy it. And they actually did it. It's happened a couple times. I absolutely love when people trust my opinions on books. It makes me so happy. Those are my fave bookish memories. A lot of them have to do with in-person stuff. So not exactly booktube stuff, but still bookish memories nonetheless. The final question for this tag is any carryovers from 2024 that I want to finish. I don't have any books that I was like in the middle of finishing when the new year hit. I had finished everything I was in the process of reading, but I do have The Wedding Witch out from the library. That would be my one kind of carryover of a book I had from 2024 that I'm bringing into 2025. And then I'm hoping this series is over and then I don't have to read it anymore. I'm finished it. So that is the January tag and a little quick summary of some of my reading from 2024 as well as my goal setting for 2025. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know in the comments down below what the first book you read or are reading in 2025 is, or leave the spooky bat emoji. If you enjoyed, like the video and consider subscribing so you don't miss any more of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.